Hello, Global Listening Festival. My name is Alexander V. Laskin, and I'm professor at Quinnipiac University, located in beautiful Hamden, Connecticut. My presentation today is listening as the foundation of reputation management. My presentation will focus on the role and the importance of listening in the process of reputation management. In this presentation, I will talk about reputation. I will define reputation. I will explain the reputation management process, what it is and why it is important. I will identify key publics and the concept of publics in general. And then at the end, I will outline the concept of reputation listening. So let's begin. Reputation, according to a lot of research, is considered a very valuable asset. Academic research, professional research, many consulting companies all declare reputation to be quite valuable. In fact, even auditing companies conduct studies that try to estimate the value of reputation. Some of the most famous studies of that sort were done by Deloitte, Reputation Dividend, Weber Shandwick, a famous PR firm, and a few other companies conducted studies to measure and identify the value of reputation as an asset. And in many of the studies, the value of reputation ranged from 25% to 60% of corporate market value. So this is a very significant, very large number. If your company overall market capitalization is $10 billion, then your reputation can be half of that. It can be $5 billion. So it is a significant value. So it is not a surprise that many corporations, many corporate leaders, and even other organizations, not necessarily corporations, it may be non-profit organizations, government organizations, any other types of organizations, think about managing their reputations, think about maintaining their reputations, and think about improving their reputation. It is an important topic for the leaderships of many organizations. So that's why we have a process called reputation management. How do we manage our reputations? How do we make sure that our reputations actually contribute to our organizational value rather than take away from the value of our organization? And again, a lot of research on reputation management exists, and study after study shows that while reputation is important for organization, unfortunately, we cannot directly control and manage reputation because reputation is external to the organization. Organizations do not possess their reputations. Reputation exists outside of the organization. Reputation exists in the minds of external publics, external audiences, external stakeholders. So the terms public, stakeholders, audiences, they are often used interchangeably. It's not necessarily always correct, but we're not going to go into details in this particular topic. Stakeholders is the preferred term in the management literature, audiences is in the marketing literature, but in reputation management, we normally use the term publics. So who are the publics? What kind of publics organizations may have? And here is one example. Let's take a typical organization. A typical organization would have employees, people who work for this organization. Organization cannot really exist if it doesn't have any employees, people who would actually produce goods or services for this organization so the organization can sell those goods or services. Many organizations, not all, but many organizations would have investors, people who buy shares of stock in this organization, be it a publicly traded corporation or privately held corporation. Somebody invested money in this organization in order for it to exist, and then they hope to reap profits from the growth of this organization in the future. Obviously, if the organization is looking to sell products or services and make money, then it needs customers, and customers are a very important public for the organization, because if customers don't buy the product or service, the organization is unlikely to be a success. Organizations typically have suppliers. If they, let's say, sell cars, then they need to buy metal somewhere. They need to buy parts in order to build the car. They need to buy glass. They need to buy rubber. They need to buy tires. They need to buy all kinds of things in order to put the car together. Media may write about the organization. They may talk about the organization. They may say something bad or something good, and that may change how the organization is perceived by employees, investors, customers, suppliers. So media is an important public as well for the organization. And government as well. Government may pass a law that can break organization, or it can make organization very successful, very profitable. So managing relationships with the government is very important. And so these are the publics. And within those publics exists a reputation. And the organization itself, it does not have direct control over what investors think about the organization. Organization can change its messaging. It can communicate to investors. It can try to influence investors, but it doesn't have a direct control over what investors think about this organization. And the same is true for customers, for suppliers, for media, and for government. And so study after study, and again, professional consulting research after professional consulting research on reputation made that point, that the key understanding, the key important point about reputation is that it exists outside of the organization. You can think about what organization has within itself is organizational identity. So organization has its own strengths and weaknesses. Organization has its own mission statement. Organization has its own business processes. Organization has its own products. This is what organization can control. This is organizational identity. You can think about it as, if you think about organization as about a person, this is like our DNA, right? DNA gives us our eye color, it gives us our skin color, it gives us our hair color, it gives us our, how strong we're going to be, our bone density, whatever you can think of. This is our foundation. It's not set in stone. It's an important foundation, but with that foundation, with the exact same foundation, somebody can go to the gym every day and exercise and become very strong, and somebody may sit on the couch every day, and even with a DNA that can potentially lead to a great muscular body, the person may have no muscles at all. The same as with organization. It can have a good foundation, financially strong foundation, but it can lose all the money and go bankrupt. And another organization can start with very weak financial position, but it eventually can develop into successful financial position. But still, it's not guaranteed that investors, employees, customers, suppliers will see you the way you want them to see you. The weakest person may be perceived as a strong person by outsiders, the same way as the weakest organization can be perceived as a very strong organization. Because again, we do not control how others perceive us. It is in their mind. So then how do we do the reputation management? What's the point of all these books on reputation management, all the studies on reputation management, if apparently it's all in the external minds and not in under direct organizational control. Well, step number one in successful reputation management is listening. And that brings us to the topic of this conference. In order to understand what investors think about you, what customers think about you, what suppliers think about you, you need to listen. You need to understand. As an organization, the most important thing is to try to understand, try to collect feedback, try to listen in order to understand what it is they're thinking about you. Because you cannot be successful at managing your reputation and improving your reputation without understanding what your reputation is. Everything starts with listening. If you want to understand why customers are not buying your product, the best starting point is to talk to your customers. Try to understand what concerns do they have about your product. Why are they not happy with the product? Is it the price? Maybe it's too expensive. Is it the lack of features that are important to them? Or maybe just not available in the stores where they normally shop. Or maybe it's lack of the convenient delivery functions. You don't know that until you talk to the customers. So everything starts with listening in order to understand what the problem with the reputation is. And so listening becomes the first and the most important, the foundational step in reputation management. And it becomes the process of reputation listening. You need to listen for your reputation. And within this concept of reputation listening, there are several approaches to listening. Number one is monitoring. Organization cannot just decide that, well, today we're going to talk to customers and then we're going to forget about them for a year. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. It is important for organization to constantly monitor the conversation, that everything that is being said about them all the time. And there are two types of monitoring. There is active monitoring and passive monitoring. In the corporate world and public relations world, there are professional tools available that can passively allow you to monitor a conversation, and they will notify you when there is something being said about you that is important. So you can have these tools constantly crawl social media, constantly crawl mass media, constantly crawl internet, and try to, as soon as there is conversation, let's say if you are an Apple company, as soon as there is conversation that iPhone battery explodes, then you would get immediate notification and you can react to it. You don't have to do anything yourself. Well, you have to set it up once, and then it will monitor for it all the time. Active monitoring means you need to be actively part of the community. So if you know that, let's say you are Tesla, there are several active Tesla discussion forums. There are websites of Tesla enthusiasts who are talking and reviewing and always sharing their experience with Tesla. So you can have an active presence on that. You can participate in conversations. You can answer questions. You can actively be part of these active communities. Google is actually a great example of that. Google is taking very active steps to be successful in the cell phone market with their Pixel lines of phone, which are amazing phones, but they still way behind in terms of sales in comparison with iPhones. So they created something called Pixel Superfans community, and they have it on Facebook, they have it on Twitter, they have it on Discord, and they constantly engage in there and talking with people, sharing their opinion, they're asking to send their pictures because they believe that the Pixel phone cameras are way better than iPhone cameras, and so on and so forth. So there is active monitoring and passive monitoring. Another way to be successful in the process of reputation listening is creating feedback channels. So creating opportunities for your audiences to talk back to you when they want to do that. So let's say if there is a customer who is not happy with the product, do they have a chance to provide their feedback? Do they have that opportunity, or do they need to go on social media and bash your product there? And this is very important. There is an example recently. There was a food provider at the university, and they struggled with students posting on social media pictures of the food that they did not like in the cafeteria, and they did not know what to do. And they created a survey where students could click on the link, and there was multiple questions, and they could have provided feedback. And they said nobody does that. They just go to social media and they just bash us there, and we don't know what to do. So what they did instead is they created feedback channels that students were comfortable with using, their own Instagram page. So now they can just send direct message, just send a picture, and the food provider can respond immediately. So that immediately allowed them to react to students. It decreased the number of bashing on social media. And again, no cafeteria wants to provide bad food to students. They're just not, they're not in that business. They were appreciative of that immediate feedback channel so they can take care of it right away. Another approach to reputation listening is building periodic and on-demand listening sessions. This is more expensive and more in-depth way to do it. And it is probably reserved for more important, for more valued publics. For example, in investor relations, it is customary to have annual roadshows. What it means is the management of the company, the top management of the company, CEO, CFO, other C-suite executives go on a road and they meet with the top shareholders of the company. They spend a couple of hours with each one of them just to listen, understand what their concerns are, get their feedback, and also tell them about their vision of the company, exchange ideas, see if they're on the same page about decisions being made. The shareholders, they may control a lot of power in the company. And the next time there is an annual shareholder meeting and they get to vote, they may vote for that CEO to be out of there. They may vote to change the board of directors. They may vote for that CEO not to get the compensation that they're proposing. So they're very important. And so having this annual road shows is important for this listening and communication sessions. And all of this, the monitoring, creating feedback channels, and establishing periodic and on-demand listening sessions, all of that contributes to the fourth type of reputation listening, which is developing relationships. But at the same time, the developing relationship is kind of more than each one of these separately, because you can monitor without creating a relationship. You can create feedback channels without developing a relationship. You can have your annual road shows without developing a relationship. Developing a relationship requires taking an extra step, showing that these audiences are important to you, that you are listening to them, not just because you have to, but you are listening to them because you value their opinion. You are actually interested in what they have to say. It is important. And the best way to do that, the best way to show that their opinion is important, is you actually act on their feedback. So if they tell you that this product is too important and they keep, if they keep telling you that the product is too expensive and you hear it year after year after year, then maybe dropping the price is the right thing to do to satisfy your audiences, to satisfy your publics. If they keep saying that what is missing is longer battery life, then maybe the right step is to make a bigger battery in the next product. So developing relationship means showing that you value this relationship. So I'm going to go back to the Google example that I mentioned before. The Google created the community of superfans. When Google has the launch event, when they launch a new phone or they launch a new product, they give their superfans tickets to that launch event. So Apple doesn't do that. If you like using iPhone, you're not going to get a ticket to the Apple launch event. But if you're a Google superfan, if you're in that community, if you're using Google phone, you're going to get the ticket to go to the Google launch event of the new Google Pixel 9, I think is the next one. So it shows that they value their customers, and it develops a relationship, because again, if it shows that you are valued and you go to that event, you're not going to buy an iPhone after that, after you experience something like that. You've been among the Google elites, and you've been invited to this event, and you appreciate all this. And again, you didn't ask for it. It suddenly happened to you. So this was an example. This was my conversation about reputation listening, and why reputation listening is a foundational step of reputation management. And if you want to learn more about that, you can read more about it in my book, Organizational Reputation Management, A Strategic Public Relations Perspective, where I talk about reputation management as relationship management. Once again, my name is Alexander V. Laskin, and I'm a professor at Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut, USA. Thank you. Bye.